as part of our continued efforts to reach the African and other ethnic communities in the United Kingdom with greater impacts and create a platform to hear your silent and unheard views in this hugely green community in the United Kingdom, our channel, Ben TV, presents to you another live current affairs television program. Our focus on the program is to review and discuss issues around the diaspora community in the UK. The program offers you that unrestricted voice on issues affecting you in the UK. Join us live every Monday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Another business segment of Dialogue in Diaspora, 2 to 3 p.m. every Monday. But guess what? You can be part of the program. Just send us an email at bentelevisionuk@gmail.com. Dialogue in Diaspora, the voice, your opinion on our TV. Thank you for joining us on the program. This is Voice coming to you from Ben Television. This is our legal program designed to give information on legal matters to our community, the diaspora community in the UK. And the program, not a kind of a legal advice, but it's designed to bring you information that will help you to live within the rules of the game. If you are either a student or you're a businessman or you're working, or even if you're British, it's about rules, it's about the game of the rule, is about law. How do you live within the laws of this country so that you don't fall foul of the law? And that's what we'll talk about in this on this program. We'll bring to you information about legal matters, how they can help you to live a good life in the United Kingdom. And as usual, our special guest, who has been very magnanimous to join us to share with us expertise, legal expertise on this program, is the senior partner at Obaseki Solicitors based here in the United Kingdom. I'm talking about Jennifer Obaseki, senior partner at Obaseki Solicitors. Jennifer, thank you for joining us on the program today. My pleasure. You're welcome to the show again. Jennifer, let's quickly look at the issue of indefinite leave to remain. There are so many routes to indefinite leave to remain, but let's look at these 10 years consistent legal route in the UK. Tell us more about that route. Okay. What is it to say 10 years legal lawful residence?
When we look at routes to indefinite leave to remain, that being in the UK for 10 years lawfully is quite a popular route, especially in the past for people who were on Tier 4 student visas or on post-study work visas. But the thing is, most of the Tier 4 visas, student visas, have now got the kind of caveat that you have to return at the end of your period of study. However, you've still got the kind of legacy people who have been here from the Tier 2, Tier 1 and Tier 4 applications before there was that caveat, and have extended their stay and therefore been here lawfully for a number of years. However, there are some who have left the UK for a brief period to change their status, maybe from Tier 4 to Tier 2 or Tier 4 and gone into Tier 1 and got sponsorship to come back into the UK, and have been out for a brief period in order to do that. So even if you've left the United Kingdom for a short period, less than 6 months, if you've left for less than 6 months, you may still qualify to apply for indefinite leave to remain. So, as you explained, there are a number of routes. There are people that have been here for 5 years and maybe in the investment section, or depending on the level of their investment, or here as entrepreneurs and qualify in a different way. Again, people who are here as European nationals after 5 years qualify, but the 10-year route is normally applying to people who have been extending their stay on the 2.5 years, so that's based on private family life, or on being here lawfully for 10 years, albeit if there's a short break, you may still qualify.
Does that apply to definite leave to remain as well? A test of
character. Yes, absolutely.
Really?
And you see this in the questionnaire, the questions that are asked on the form, and not only that, it's in the rules. It's in the rules, and the Home Office since 2012 reserves the right to say no. And they apply this bad character reference to people who have worked during the period that they didn't have their status, people who have judgments against them, people who have convictions. There's a spent period, depending on the nature of your conviction and what your punishment was, as to whether they will still continue to see you as a person of bad character. So if you have convictions, get advice as to when you should apply or when you're eligible to apply for indefinite leave to remain.
So
Very important.
You're saying that somebody who has served his or her time, convicted, for whatever reasons, might even be immigration related.
It could be driving, it could be an accident, it could be anything.
You're saying that could potentially be a barrier to...
It could delay the period when they can apply for indefinite leave to remain, especially if they have a custodial sentence, yes. Especially if it's a custodial sentence, anything over 12, anything going on for 5 months, there's a tariff, and it's called the spent period. And you look at the length of the period you were sentenced, and then when you will now become eligible to apply for your indefinite leave to remain. But not just looking at the criminal convictions, it's important people look at even things like allegations, things like, as I've said, judgments, and these are civil judgments that could be held against you. If you've seen to be a serial person who has debts, and you have a series of CCJs against you, it may fall against you. And it depends on who those debts are with. If they're with government agencies or local authorities, that's not good. And that could be held against you. If it's with, for example, Department for Work and Pensions for things that you need to pay back, not good. If there's been overpayments here, there, or other things, as I've said, the period of working when not documented, that's really a bad one, because many people fall into different situations and have to keep roofs over their head and food in their mouths and the mouths of their dependents. So if for some reason you have worked when you were not documented, it's important that you get advice before applying for indefinite leave to remain. What happens when you do an application for indefinite leave to remain is the caseworkers do a check against you to see whether you should be considered a person of good character. So that's against your footprint in this country, tax records, criminal convictions, etc. How in-depth that is when you're applying for indefinite leave to remain is not as in-depth as they will go when it's naturalisation. Naturalisation is a lot more deeper. So, for example, you may not be considered somebody of bad character because you worked when you were not documented and get your indefinite leave to remain. But when you apply for your naturalisation, they may consider that you're a person of bad character because you did work when you didn't have documents. And we've seen that happen. We've seen that happen more so since 2015-16. It came into play end of 2015. That's when people started to get those types of refusals. And we found that it was quite arduous. It is quite, let's say, harsh. Because we argued, and I personally argued, that, hold on, this person was of good character when they applied for their indefinite leave to remain. Why is it that you've now said that they're a person that's not of good character when they're applying for naturalisation? And the general response that I got back was the standard that we apply for naturalisation assessment is a lot higher than that we apply for indefinite leave to remain, because you're asking for citizenship at this stage. Therefore, our searches are deeper, our scrutiny is a lot deeper. So please be aware of that.
So, came into the country on a passport with a DOP, with the surname. Now, came into the country after some time, changed the details, not deliberately, the passport expired, got married, and things happened, changed the details, the DOB changed, not intentionally.
By error?
By error.
Okay.
The DOB changed at the collating center when the passport was being made.
Okay.
By error, the deal be changed. By marriage, the name changed. So, at the point this individual got arrested, hasn't regularized the stay. So now they got convicted for working
without document. So on serving his term and the person got released, put in application to the Home Office. The Home Office rejected the passport upon which he was arrested, which is, or she, let me say she now. She was arrested, through which there's a different DOB and there's a birth change of name by marriage. They wanted the passport that they first
used to come into the UK.
Okay.
Now, so this, do you understand this now? Now, this is the situation now. So the Home Office now accepted the first passport. So the person has now got her stay or their stay
based on the original,
based on the
details
that this person's has served time on the other passport. If you were to have this as a client at the time of filing for indefinite leave, how will this turn out? What will the person declare?
The person has to declare what they're known as.
What?
And what they're known as and what they were granted leave to remain in. Correct. So whatever they were granted their discretionary period of leave to remain in is the identity the Home Office knows. However, if the person is perturbed by using the details that are not accurate, if it's the name can be changed obviously by depot, by change of name. But it's important that you do not overcomplicate your life. I hope you understand what I'm saying. If there's no need to change a good thing, don't change it. If you're going to raise questions, more and more questions about your credibility, don't change it. Don't change it until you get your British passport. Why?
Change what?
He or she should stick with what the Home Office knows them as.
Okay, so the Home Office knows them. The Home Office knows them. The Home Office knows them as A. But got convicted as B.
That's B's wahala. But the fact is, if the Home Office knows you as A, there is ample space on the form to write down your aliases. Don't forget.
Would you say the person should write down? Have you ever been known by another name? You
must not use deception, number one. If you're known as another name, remember your fingerprints don't lie. And if you're caught telling a lie, your credibility is finished with the Home Office.
So there is no space that says, there's a space that says, have you ever been known by any other name?
Yes,
but there's no space that says, have you ever had another date of birth?
Exactly. So the point is, and this happens more frequently than you would think. There are many people that come in and back home, it wasn't them that did their passport application. Yeah. Back home, they didn't speak any English.
These are not deliberate.
So this, most of the time, it honestly is not deliberate. Yeah. But it needs a credible explanation. And this is the point. The point is, especially when you go to a lawyer for professional advice, it's down to that lawyer to actually tell you the way to make it right. So if you get convicted in the name of A, whereas your name is really CO, where it asks, have you got or known by any other names, it's important you tell the truth. We have I've had the experience of representing people who have convictions in their name, but not carried out by themselves, carried out by people using their name. So there are a number of situations that can arise where you may have convictions in your name and it wasn't you, or you may have been convicted in another name and it was you, but you need to explain your situation. Your fingerprints don't lie, remember that. So when you're going for your naturalization, you're fingerprinting. When you're going for your indefinite leave to remain, you're fingerprinting. And if it's cross-reference on the national database and you're seen to be lying, you're going to look stupid. You're going to look as if you're not credible. And using deception to try and obtain an advantage over the Secretary of State is an offence. It's an offence, and believe me, you have to be careful. Otherwise, you might find yourselves in front of a magistrate's court actually being having to be advised on criminal matters if you use deception.
But in some instances, this may not be this person's fault.
At all, I agree.
This person presented a passport to the Home Office. Said, no, we're not interested in this passport you're giving us. We are interested in a passport on which you were granted visa.
Absolutely,
to come
because
into
the Home
UK.
Office cannot be seen to contradict themselves. But if it is going to cause a series of problems, then you have to legally change your name. That's what the Home Office is asking that you do. The Home Office won't say present your name as it was on the original passport if you've legally changed your name. That's why you have to do things in the right manner, follow the correct process. Okay? There are some people that in their 60s wanting to retire, but on their passport, when somebody was doing it, they backdated their age. So you'll find that they're almost 70 and they're still working their fingers to the bone because they cannot retire lawfully because the age is all messed up. How do you resolve this? If you go to a lawyer, you manage to do the correct declarations and redo your application for your passport, it can be rectified. But the longer you leave it, is my point, the more difficult it is to do.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Do you need legal advice? Do you need professional help at a reasonable cost? At Obaseki Solicitors we have experts in property law, human rights, criminal litigation, immigration, civil litigation, family law, business law, landlord and tenant law, employment law, Sharia law. At Obaseki Solicitors, we can provide you with advice and assistance at all levels. We have over 100 years experience in serving our local communities, and we have a new maritime and international law department. We can help you. Book a free consultation today. Obaseki Solicitors, providing you with advice and assistance at all levels.
Who already has an indefinite leave to remain now gives birth to a child after the indefinite leave to remain, what will the status of that child be, and what will the status of the woman be?
Okay, you see, indefinite leave to remain now, one of the reasons why we're doing this program is we've heard that Theresa May wants to now sort out the Europeans who are here living and make sure that they have the entitlement to stay in the UK post-Brexit. So it's going to mean that there's going to be changes between now and March next year and post-March next year with regards to settling in the UK. So we always say to people, make sure that you have achieved and secured the best status for yourself that you're entitled to. So it's important that we pull out from the community people who may not know that they can qualify for indefinite leave to remain, and make sure they get it so that they secure themselves and their children and any other dependents that they have. So if you have indefinite leave to remain and then you have children, it's important that you check if post your grant of indefinite leave to remain, any child that you give birth to can qualify immediately for a British passport. And there was a judgment that meant that anybody who has indefinite leave to remain and they have children, and I think it's post 2016, may be able to apply for the child. So check, check, check. Always check. And if you don't have the money to go to a private practitioner, email the Home Office. And to make it even better, email your MP, make them work.
I think
and to get the answer to the question, the fact is, people are sitting around and they don't realise that they can better their status, and I'm just trying to make sure, or we're trying to make sure, that the community has enough information so that people don't suffer that and they can sort themselves out.
I do know that in addition to these, when people get their indefinite leave letter or information, there's always a leaflet accompanying.
It's not necessarily a leaflet. It's the letter is used to even be longer.
Yeah.
It used to be like 3 or 4 pages long,
they will
outlining
detail
their
your
entitlements,
rights. Yeah.
But it's not always specifically spelled out there. So the important thing is for people to check. Now that they're listening to this program, check. Find out, for example, our office does a 15-minute free clinic on Fridays, but a lot of CABs have qualified advisors. The OISC is there, the Law Society is there. Put in your postcode, see if they can get a solicitor that's qualified and experienced immigration advice near you. If the fee is too much, as I said, go to your MP's clinic, see if they'll help you to do it. Or email the Home Office directly. They have a question and answer email facility that you can use, so use it.
But the problem our community has got is people are often afraid to reach.
You know,
to get in touch with
if you've got leave to remain, you've got nothing to be afraid of. You're asking a question. But the other thing is sometimes the Home Office make mistakes. It's very important that you realise that they're human beings on the other side, and often they do give the wrong form to people to advise, and there's no... it's important to keep a paper trail if you follow the advice of a Home Office-based caseworker. I know that I've always told people on this programme that solicitors have to be insured, have to also show that they've maintained their... professional development by their training record, but the only thing you'll see when you go into a solicitor's office is their insurance certificate on the wall. So knowing how experienced and what areas they practice in, you get that from the Law Society's website when you research the solicitor. You wouldn't go to a plastic surgeon and just say, start chopping me, would you? Mm-hmm. Exactly, so you'd research their experience. Yeah. So the same thing, when you're putting your life in somebody's hands, you have to make sure that the person is experienced in the area that you're going to talk to them about. So you must make sure the person is very well experienced in immigration.
The point now is almost every lawyer is an immigration lawyer.
No, that's not true.
But that's what you see.
People may proclaim to be immigration lawyers, but the fact is it's because they know most people who ask for immigration advice are desperate for a solution. So you may come to me for immigration advice and I will tell you that, you know, there's nothing you're eligible for. It's important that you go home voluntarily or use the Home Office facility to get assisted return, use the money if you need it. Or you could come to me and say, look, I don't care, just put anything in for me. And so far as you understand that the application I put has no chance of success and you pay me to do that and you've signed that, you've been advised that, that's your choice. But if you're asking me, should I put in an application? If you don't qualify for anything, I'm not going to lie and tell you that you qualify for something. But some lawyers are out there that will say, really, yes, give me, I'll put the application. It will cost you whatever money it is, because they want the money. But a lawyer has to tell you advice. They have to advise you. So it's not a case of just doing. That lawyer is not your personal secretary. That lawyer is there to give you legal advice on what you're eligible to do, how much it will cost. And it's basically like a contract. And we're ethically bound. Lawyers have a profession of ethics. So we're ethically bound not to mislead you in order just to take your money. So always make sure that the person that says that they're qualified immigration advisor, that they're experienced in the area and that they are actually listed on the Law Society website as practicing in the area of immigration.
But quickly before God, no, we've got one topic to treat, but we're not going to be able to do that this week. I wanted us to talk about sexual harassment. Unfortunately, we can't talk about it because we've got this issue of indefinite leave and immigration stuff. Now, should a solicitor wrongly advise a client? Can a client bring a suit against a client for wrongful advice and for failing in his or her duty of care towards the solicitor?
You can. We have the Solicitors Ombudsman, Solicitors Complaint Scheme. The complaints go through to the Ombudsman, and the Ombudsman hopefully will put forward a solution. If you don't want to, then you have to then prove that there's been a breach in the contractual duty, or there's been a breach in professional professional negligence, because it's a regulated profession, highly regulated profession. Most people go to the ombudsman for a resolution, and when you're receiving your client care letter from the solicitor outlining what they will do, by our regulations, they must also give you the complaints procedure. And most of the time, any judge or ombudsman would ask why you haven't followed the complaints procedure rather than just jump towards bringing a claim. So it's important that, if possible, you exhaust the complaints procedure. But if you feel the negligence was so grave, so severe, that you don't want to follow the complaints procedure, you would have to justify your reasons why. All right.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for your time, as usual, on this community legal clinic we bring to our viewers. If you're watching the program, it's still voice. Can I ask you, say, that you can be part of this program? You can join us, you can sponsor, you can participate. If you have got any query, you can send us an email, or better still, you can get in touch with Jennifer Obaseki firm straight. You can use the phone number on the screen to email, to text, or you can send us an email tgalabi@yahoo.com, or better still, get in touch with any qualified solicitor around you that you know. But the most important thing is know your rights and get the best for yourself. My name is Tunde Alabi, and it's been a pleasure having you on the show again today. Jennifer, thank you for coming on the show this time.
My pleasure.
All right, enjoy the rest of your week. Bye. As part of our continued efforts to reach the African and other ethnic communities in the United Kingdom with greater impacts, and create the platform to hear your silent and unheard views in this hugely growing community in the United Kingdom, our channel, Ben TV, presents to you another live current affairs television program. Our focus on the program is to review and discuss issues around the diaspora community in the UK. The program offers you that unrestricted voice on issues affecting you in the UK. Join us live every Monday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Another business segment of Dialogue in Diaspora, 2 to 3 p.m. every Monday. But guess what? You know you can be part of the program. Just send us an email at bentelevisionuk@gmail.com. Dialogue in Diaspora, your voice, your opinion on our TV.